I know who you are, but tell the world who you are.
We're Team Clairvoyance. My name is Chris. Team tag Soki. On my right is Nailea. She's basically the GOAT. She only lost one game. You can carry on my left, Xavier. But I don't think I would have chosen any other teams. They basically were the GOAT.
Is there anybody you want to thank before we start this interview fully?
Yeah. First and foremost, game guys for allowing us to do a deck profile, allowing us to do an interview, and allowing us to be here and hosting it. Second, I would like to shout out to my team, San Antonio, Clairvoyance, IKEA, Arthur, Will Wallace, Nayla, and Xavier, my partners. And yeah, all the community in San Antonio, I play test with them as much as possible. And without them, I don't think I would have topped because I didn't know what deck to take.
All right. So speaking of decks, we're gonna go ahead and get into your deck profile.
All right. First and foremost, uh, the price card is really nice. It's simple right line, Messiah, grade 2, grade 1, Forerunner, Chris. Um, I don't think you will play anything other than that. I don't haven't seen any builds running anything than that. Um, grade 2 is pretty good. Uh, Basically, you lock it, give a unit in the front column 10k, or itself. People didn't knew that you can give itself 10k because the card ability says choose a unit in this column and give it 10k whenever it's unlocked. We only ran one Messiah. The thought process with just the one Messiah, where other people run two or three, was mostly because uh, the Persona stride, while it is good, um, I like to just basically do the first stride. Uh, Necessarily, I don't ride. Uh, Searching it, I want to search it with the Grey One. But overall, it's just I think one is just better because you don't want to open this. You just want to search it off the Grey One searcher. Uh, and 9 times out of 10, you're going only into the first stride, which gets you bigger and better numbers. Anyone who doesn't run 4 promos is trolling. This car is legit the best car that Saya has right now. Um, Being able to pitch for stride and then reducing the counterblast, either the heart or the vanguard, um, as well as if you have it in hand during the main phase, counterblast one, lock any of your opponent's rear guards and call a Messiah unit from your drop into the radar circle. Um, a lot of people had to read this card because not a lot of people run this at 4, but running this at 4 was pretty amazing. Like I could have played aggressively with Arrestor Messiahs. Um, People swung at the Arresters, and I just basically call it back with this card. Three Strike Fodders, quote unquote. Basically, what this guy's purpose is when you pitch it for to ride a grade 3 or to strike, you draw a card. More draw power, much pretty good. Um, I abuse this card throughout the whole day just to let me draw as much as possible. Because with Messiah, you want to draw, uh, so you that way you can just ramp up to have bigger numbers and better numbers. The first skill to soul charge and give itself 10k sometimes comes up if you want soul for at the end of the turn to soul blast and draw depending on how many you unlock. But most of the time I use these just to stride or to pitch it to ride a grade 3. Three recyclers. Card's pretty good. He has no other purpose other than to pitch it during the ride phase to draw a card, to Soul Blast draw a card. That was his whole purpose. Um, my thought process during Mulligan was I need to see at least one of these so that way I can at least try to plus going first or going second. Going second, and if I open this, it was 9 times out of 10 I'm winning a match because I legit draw three cards: one from Forerunner, one from Crest, one from this, and that just basically has me securing hand, securing units to call. But overall, three is pretty good. Four is kind of bricky because you don't want to see these at all. You only want to see them whenever you pitch them during the ride phase. Arrestor. I don't know how many times people had to read this card. Uh, like that he gains 5k on swing. Um, locks itself, so that way you can have combo during your stride phase. Um, if you have promo, definitely go with aggressive push during grade two, especially against Luard or any other G stride deck other than Shiranui. Definitely call them if you have the means of calling them back from your drop, because 9 times out of 10, your opponent's just gonna swing over this. Another insane card. This card is basically your card that you definitely want to see against Shiranui or any other stride deck, because most of the time you're playing the grade 2 game. The grade 2 game is really, really uninteractive, but if you see this card, is really, really good. Why? Because basically this allows you to swing for free at the end of the battle, retire, check top 3, call a unit. That's pretty good because you're allowed to put pressure and refill your board for next turn. You retire it and call the unit lock behind, so that way they don't swing on it. For Mekanis, I don't know how many times Mikane has won me the game. Mostly just because you want to see these against Shiranui. This is basically just free beat sticks because he goes into a soul. Um, so you have no board whenever you go into grade 3. And you basically your opponent cannot. If your opponent is playing Shiranui, they don't really have a board to dominate. Um, Free soul charge too because he soul charges on place and then he puts himself in the soul, so you have more soul to draw. Um, it's just for Mikana is just really really good, like really really good. For sacrifice, um, on boost, and at the end of the battle it boosted. Lock itself 5k to the Vanguard. If you have no face up, you counter charge. That skill came a lot. Basically, it's pretty good just so you can have a lock card for at the end of the turn when you unlock to draw from inside. Two owls. Basically, this is a grade 3 searcher for Messiah. So basically, the thought process of these were two was because with this card, um, basically this card whenever at the end of the battle you swing with it, check top 3, call one card equal to or less in your Vanguard, put it to an open rear guard's lock. But the problem is you put cards at the bottom. So if you put heals or triggers, you won't be able to see it because this deck legit doesn't deck search at all. So you cannot shuffle your decks so for you to shuffle your triggers. So this is pretty good because you search your deck for a Messiah, so that way you're allowed to shuffle your deck and basically reset your triggers. Elementaria is Elementaria. Um, really good against the Stride. Really, really good. You definitely want to open these as much as possible against any Stride decks. If you open it up against any non-other Stride decks like Prism, Udberg, um, what was the other? Greedon. Try to dump this as much as possible because basically you have 3 PGs. The PGs count. PGs are better because whenever you have 2 or less, it just counts as a free PG, uh, and this doesn't. So basically, if you don't face a stride deck, get rid of this as much as quick as possible. But during your stride deck, basically when you face a stride deck, this is your best friend. One cat. Cat came in clutch. I saw it 4 times out of my game. It's just a free 15k shield, making it a 20k shield. Ratio on heals is weird because we're in a format that a lot of decks restand or swing with units 2 times. Um, Funny enough, I got a ruling check on this from a judge saying that because a lot of people didn't think that this wouldn't work on a dominated unit, but it does because the dominated unit is being attacked again, so it's therefore your opponent's rigor again. So it works on a dominated unit swinging twice. Um, but the problem is it's a 10k shield. So if you don't face a Shiranui player or any deck that restands, these are basically useless. And that's why we run 2 regular heals. It just kind of covers the matchup of having more shield. And then 4 crit, 4 crit, 8 crit. Enough said. You want to see crits as much as possible. Um, this skill came up twice where I needed soul to draw. And people basically do not even use the secondary skill to soul to give it 2K. The 2K doesn't matter. You just want soul to draw. There was a lot of discussions back and forth on front triggers, as well as 8 crits. Basically, I was talking with a friend of mine. Um, he thought that since we're in a rush format, draws would have been better because basically you damage fronts or you check fronts, you just get more hand. Um, I like that idea, but the problem is no shield. Uh, Messiah is a late game deck because you draw so much and you tank up. Uh, Front triggers are good. It's just a 20k shield, um, and I don't need draws because I already draw so much. So I think front triggers is the best way to go. 3 front triggers is good. I wouldn't run 4 mostly because I want to see crits as much as possible, because you're swinging with really good numbers. Um, and then basically, if I most of the time my opponent for some reason likes to take the Vanguard hit. That's fine. Um, but basically, fronts came in really good because the 20k shields is so amazing. And then the best hover trigger, the best hover trigger in the game. Um, Aside from the blue OT, this is probably the most broken hover trigger ever. Because if you hit this grade 2 rush, your opponent is behind. Your opponent is either at 4 or 5 damage, and basically at that point they'd have to think about, okay, do I really want to stay grade 2? No, they're gonna have to either draw as much as possible, tank up, or otherwise they're just dead. But I checked this 3 times this game, the whole regional. I didn't never defensively hit it. I drew it 4 or 3 of my matches. Drawing in is not bad because it's 50k shield. I think I drew it on a Luar player, which that actually was pretty clutch. Because on that Luar matchup, they went into Drag Strider. And basically, Drag Strider says you can guard with grade 1s or greater. So I Elementaria early game to stop a lot of the pressure, but I had this in hand and a bunch of triggers. And basically, this actually saved me that game because I had this in hand. Uh, this is this is basically self-explanatory. 4-4. Realistically, you never want to go into this. This is just flip fodder for this. Um, this is probably the best stride for Messiah. Being able to unlock as many as you want and pump up a unit for 5k for every unlock card is really good. This allows you to multi pressure, multi attack, and make your columns big numbers. This is situational at best. The only reason why I don't like this is because you don't flip anything. So basically, this is just the best stride. I think I went this one, and I didn't even kill him, which kind of set me back. I still want that game, but I really wish I would have went into this because it just pumps up your rearguards even bigger. But yeah, that's my Messiah deck profile. Um, I mean, I really liked it. If a good pilot runs this deck, it can definitely churn out some really good wins. Um, right now, since we're really into a really aggressive format, um, I think Messiah really has a good chance of being a good contender to the meta.
Thank you, Chris. We really appreciate you explaining your deck. Would you say there is a single MVP card in your deck that you want to highlight today?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, the MVPs of the deck were definitely recyclers. Um, these 3 cards were I definitely wanted to see them. I want to see them as much as possible. Recycler to draw, this to basically pressure and refill my board, and this to early pressure, put soul, and then make my opponent swing at it no matter what. Because I have no idea how many times people swung at this, thinking that they're all like, oh, there's some mechanic, he's just gonna give more plus at the end. Like, okay, that's fine. You're just wasting a swing on this. But these 3 cards were the best MVP. Guys, I swear to God, if I see any of these 3 in my opening hands, I'm keeping them. No matter what else I have, I'm keeping these. But these 3 cards were legit the best cards that I could ever has.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Mhm.
We really appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And now we're going to go ahead and move on to your next member's profile.
Yep.
So